Hi, this is Vijay here. Today I'm gonna take a profile on Gear Chronicles Chronofang Tiger deck. Basically why I do this deck is because that ever since gbt11 is released, right? They introduced a lot of Zodiac time beast cards to support this archetype. So I feel like Chronofang Tiger will have a much better upgrade with the new card. So I decided to try it out and test play a few times and find that this is the updated version of what I got here. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce what's the deck list for this deck. 4 copies of Chronofang Tiger. What it does is that as a GB2, right? When you pay for the cost of the strike, right? The cards in your hand will be plus 3 grade. If you do right, when you do for a strike, right, send a card to the bind zone instead, which is very good for like a Blaster Dark Devil effect in GB2, but just they send it to the bind zone. Second effect is that choose a card from your hand and bind it face up. When this unit enters the Vanguard circle, right, you may pay the cost. If you do right, select one opponent rear guard and you put a card back to his deck, shuffle it, and he may call up to 1 card that's a grade with -2 from the card that has been sent to the deck, and he may call it to the rear guard circle and shuffle his deck. So it's a permanently -1 card from his rear guard circle if you choose a grade 1 and a below card from his rear guard to back to the circle, which is good because he will never call out a minus grade card from his deck to call out. I'll play 4 copies of this. Next up, I'll play 3 copies of Chronofang Tiger G. Chronofang Tiger G from the trial deck. What it does is that Soul Blast 1, choose one of your other unit and bind it face up. At the end of battle, this unit attacks a Vanguard, right? You may pay the cost of doing the Soul Blast and bind. If you do like, select 1 card from your opponent rear guard area in the same column of this unit and put that card back to his opponent's bottom deck, which is good because that for 1 Soul Blast and 1 bind, you select one of his potential boosters back to the bottom deck so that your opponent will be forced to call out new cards from his hand if he wants to do additional attacks for his next turn. So I'll play 3 copies of this. Okay, with the new set, right, I will play 3 copies of the new cards. This one is a nice maiden from the gbt11. It's called Pulsar Tamer Manage. Pulsar Tamer Manage has a very good rear guardian circle effect. If you control a Zodiac time beast Vanguard, right, in GB1, it gains a resist effect in rear guard or guardian circle. Yeah, resist, good. And the second effect is that when this unit attacks, for each other Zodiac time beast unit on the field, right, you may have it plus 2k more. Then if you do right, at the end of the battle, right, put this card into the bind zone, which is pretty good if you swarm a lot of Zodiac time beasts in the field. Then later on you send it to the bind zone. For a Chronofang Tiger deck, right, the more cards in your bind zone, right, the more powerful your tiger will become later on. So if this acts as a good pressure attacker, at the same time helping to set up for your future attacks for the Vanguard Tiger. I'll play 3 copies of this. Then next up, I'll play this cute little card. Not so little. 4 copies of this Tiger. Rewind Tiger Pulsar. Okay, what it does is that counter blast 1 when this unit enter the rear guard circle, right? If you control choose one other Zodiac time beast rear guard and rest it. When this unit enter the rear guard circle, you may pay the cost. If you do right, bind the top. Put the top card from your deck, bind it face up. Then if you control a Zodiac time beast, right, draw 1 card and this unit gain 2k power until the end of the turn, which is good to set up for your Chronofang Tiger as usual. Next, I'll play 2 copies of this Laser Vault Dragon, the first ever Zodiac time beast 11k big stick. Actually it's just a fortress for grade 2. What it does is that as a Vanguard Rearguard Circle, right, if you have less than one card cards in your binding zone, right, this unit cannot attack Vanguard. So you need to play cautiously if you do not have cards, one or less cards in your bind zone. Then the second effect is that if this card in bind zone, right, counter blast 1 and soul blast 1, call this card to a Rearguard Circle. If you control a Zodiac Time Beast Vanguard, right, put the top card from your deck and bind it face up, which is okay, so that you have more extra attacks during your turn from your bind zone at the cost of 1 counter blast and soul blast. Not same okay lah, just decent enough to provide additional attacks, but for the meantime it's good because it's a 11k grade 2 card to add as a defense. 2 copies of History Maker Dragon goes well with your usual watermelon combo using this card. What it does is that when this unit attacks, you may pay the cost of counter blast 1, select one of your other unit and do a time lead of it. So yeah, helps you to gain advantage by having more attacks and draw the cards using that watermelon combo. I'll play 2 copies of this. Now 1 card of Chrono Claw Monkey. When this unit enter the Rearguard Circle, if you control a Zodiac Time Beast on your Vanguard Circle, right, you may pay the cost counter blast 1. If you do during this turn, this unit gain 5k power until the end of turn. For the great ones, right, they introduced this new Strider in the Zodiac Time Beast mode. Yep. Pulsar Revolver Drago Kit. Yep. It's the same effect as the Strike Searcher, just that you need to find a Zodiac Time Beast grade 3 to add it to your hand, and the cost is by showing a grade 3 Zodiac Time Beast. And it's basically the same effect. Once you do right, add it, you just discard 1 card. And the second effect, yeah, it's just for the strike. We became a grade 3 when you strike. So it's totally the same, just that it's just meant for the archetype for the Zodiac Time Beast. I'll play 4 copies of this. Next up, 4 copies of the Sentinel, Steam Maiden Adna from the Try 3 character booster. It's at first when it first released, right, it wasn't a good card as people thought of, because you need to pay the cost of choose a Zodiac Time Beast card from your hand and discard it. When this unit enter the Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do right, you cannot choose one of your unit, you cannot be hit until you know better. Yeah. So at the first, because of it's a Zodiac, you need to discard a Zodiac Time Beast, right? It's pretty hard to fulfill its requirement, because the Zodiac Time Beast that time wasn't that great yet. But as the day goes, it's getting better because they're getting more and more support. Yeah. And they're getting more and more support in the next set. So this card will become a more sought after card in the next set. The second effect is that in the drop zone, right, GB2, choose 1 other card Zodiac Time Beast and 1 copy of itself, bind face up. If you do right, put this card back to your hand. So it's interesting that it's a Lurak Kanzen pattern. What it does is that if you have 3 cards in your drop zone, right, 2 negates and 1 Zodiac Time Beast card, right, so if you want to pay the cost of GB2, send this card and this card, bind it and put it back to your hand. That's all. So it is at first, when, like I said before, it wasn't that spectacular because you need to choose 1 other Zodiac Time Beast card back to your hand. But right now, with the new support, right, with such cards, right, it's getting better and better. So for the late game, right, you need more negates to protect yourself, which is why now we're getting a reprint in the next set, so that we tell you guys that please buy and support Zodiac Time Beast. So I play 4 copies of this Steam Maiden Adna. For its battle come other great ones, right? I'll play 3 copies of the Steam Soldier Udalulu. Udalulu is good in terms of supporting your Tiger, because when this unit enters the rear circle GB1, you may pay the cost of counter blast 1. If you do right, select 2 cards from a bind zone and put it back to your deck and shuffle it. If up to 2 cards. If 2 cards will be put right, you draw 1 card and you soul charge 1. Okay, it fulfills 2 things. 1, you can filter back your triggers that are innocently put in your drop bind zone that you want to put them back later on. Second thing, you get to have 1 extra card in your hand with a booster at the same time. So it's a decent card, which is I feel is a must to play in a Tiger deck. 3 copies. Then I'll play 2 copies of Melon. Melon, needless to say, for multiple attacks if you feel like it too. When this unit battles a Vanguard, right, you may pay the cost of having it gain 4k. If you add the 4k, if you really declare the 4k more at the end of battle, put this card back to your deck and select 1 grade 0 card from your deck and call it to a rearguard circle in rest position and shuffle your deck. Yep, for Wata later. And 1 copy of your grade 1 8k big stick. For now I play 1 copy simply because it's for sometimes you just feel like getting rushed, right? So you write this card to as a defense later on, especially in there's a lot of decks that focus on early game advantage, so having an 8k grade 1 will save you sometimes. So moving on to the triggers, right, I'll play 4 copies of the Gear Tabi. It is the Chronofang Tiger version of the Soul Chuck, going to Soul and draw 1 card and choose your Vanguard plus 5k. But the condition states that when this card is sent from a rearguard to the bind zone, you may pay the cost of putting this card from the bind zone into your Vanguard soul. If you control a Chronofang Tiger Vanguard, then you can do the advantages later on. Yeah, so I play 4 copies of this. For this, I'll play 2 copies of the Hypnotic Ship, which is a Zodiac Time Beast stand trigger. What it does is that when this unit enters the rearguard circle, you may, until the end of turn, you may have it the effect that put this card into the soul and select 1 other rearguard and put that card, put it back to the bottom deck. When this, at the end of battle, this unit that unit attack Vanguard, right, you may pay the cost. If you do right, select 1 other Zodiac Time Beast rearguard and stand it. So yeah, maybe you want to have a powerful rearguard that you want it to attack it twice, right? This card will be useful to you. Okay, 2 copies. 1 copy of Yuwata. Yuwata is for the sake of the Melon combo. And what it does is that put this card back to your bottom deck. When this unit is sent from the rearguard to the bind zone, right, you may pay the cost of putting it back to your bottom deck. If you do, draw 2 cards, select 1 card from your hand and put it back to your deck and shuffle it. Yeah, if you feel like you have enough counter blast to play the Watermelon History Maker combo, go ahead and do it. Then 2 copies of the Gear Cat. Gear Cat is that put this card back to your deck when an effect that makes your opponent rearguard back to the return to his deck, right, you may pay the cost. If you do like, choose 1 of your unit and you gain 10k power until the end of turn, then put this card back to your deck and shuffle it. Yeah, so in a Chronofang deck, right, there's some, you will tend to do some cards to put back your opponent, like you write your grade 3 Tiger or you write your grade 4 later on. So it's good enough because it helps you to set up for more, force your opponent to guard 10k more shield. Or you can add it as a defense in a Chrono Jack deck if you want to. Then I'll play 3 copies of Draw Trigger. Draw Trigger is because that Chronofang Tiger deck needs to have some decent amount of small defense in the early game, so that you will not starve yourself not to have enough rear guards for attack later on. So I'll play 3 copies of draw, and finally 4 copies of heal. Yeah, so that time is heal. For the starter, right, I'll play an old card from gbt11. It's called Steam Scholar Mecha. It's a GB1 effect. When this card is sent from a rear guard to the bind zone, right, you may select one of unit, and until end of turn you gain 5k power. Good, because Chronofang Tiger will do a lot of skills that requires to bind cards from the rear guard circle. So I'll play this starter. For the Great Force, right, there's 2 kinds of first card that you may play during the first strike. On your first strike, you can play either 2 copies of Warp Drive Dragon from the OFC. What it does is that time leak, turn 1, counter +1, soul +1, choose a face down unit, turn it face up, can be need not to be itself. For each face up of its own copy at the face and the G zone, right, choose the same number of cards and do a time leak of it. And select one, then select then select one of your rear guard that equals to a number of face up G of this copy in the face up G zone, right, and put it back to the opponent bottom deck at the cost of after paying the cost. So which is good, because that for 1 counter blast and soul blast, which is quite cheap, yeah, you can reduce one opponent rear guard and do a time leak for your other unit, maybe to call out your Melon, or you want to call out Chronofang Tiger, which is okay enough. So I'll play 2 copies of this. If you want to be adventurous, or you have a very bad hand to do your strike, you can play 2 copies of Meta Pulsar Alter Dragon. What it does is that the cost of the strike, it can be also paid with counter +1. Choose a Gear Colossal or a Zoroark Time Beast card and bind it face up for striding. Then turn 1, activate, choose a face down card and turn it face up. Can be anyone. Again, look at the top 5 cards from your deck, choose 2 of them and bind it face up, shuffle your deck. Then for each card in your bind zone, right, this unit gain 2k power until end of turn. If there are 5 or more cards in the bind zone, you counter charge 1. So in a Chronofang deck, your counter blast will be reliant more often in the game. So having a counter charge is a good way to strategize yourself in a late game or even in early game. So I play 2 copies in case you want to play more than 1. And most of the time, if I like to control my opponent views, I'll play 4 copies of Bind Time Dragon. Bind Time Dragon is a good, I should say better than good card. Yeah, why? Because it controls your opponent field by having a cost of GB2, counter +2, soul +1, choose itself face up. Then when this unit attacks a Vanguard, right, you may pay the cost. If you do select one, choose one or more rear guards and bind it face up. Yeah, then you gain 10k 1 crit. Next, for each card in your bind zone, right, your opponent choose the same number of cards and put them back in the bottom deck, which is good for those who like to swamp cards like Royal Paladin or Gold Paladin type. Then finally, if you have control of Gear Beast Heart, which is, yeah, your Chronofang Tiger is a Gear Beast, right, you counter charge 2 and soul charge 2. So doing all this effect, right, it replenish, he just doing it for free cost and gets to soul charge 1 out of the whole effect and control opponent field to clear up later on. I'll play 4 copies. The extra kick also help to add pressure too. And then the 4 copies of Chrono Tiger Rebellion. Yep, for Chrono Tiger Rebellion. first effect is that for every 2 cards in a bind zone, right, this unit gain 5k until the end of turn. Then so last one, choose itself face up. Then choose 1 card from your hand and 1 card from your rear guard and bind it face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you control a Chronofang in your heart, right, you may pay the cost. If you do, right, this unit gain 1 crit and gain 1 more dry check. Yeah, so for minus 2 cards from your presence, right, you gain 1 more dry check and 1 more crit. At the same time, you gain 5,000 more power, so that it will be 31k at the starting, when it start minimum. But like I said, with all those new cards from the set 11, right, it helps the direct time beast a lot, including this Tiger build, so that you will not feel yourself so restricted when doing your combos, like how to set up cards in your bind zone in the early game. They have the grade 2 cards and the grade those attackers resist, or even those bind cards that self-help itself. So, or even face those Narukami Thunder Strikes. Yeah, say hi to them. Bind more, I'll retaliate you more. You get what you mean. If you get what I mean, sorry. Yep. For the G Guardians, I'll play this 2 copies of Radioactive Lulu. Lulu is a very nice, very decent, actually you should say one of the fabulous G Guardians in Gear Chronicle. What it does is that when this unit enter a Guardian Circle, choose 1 normal unit and 1 trigger unit from drop zone, put them back into a bottom deck. If total number of cards is 2 or more, is 2, right, this unit gain 5k more shield. That's all. Since you have a lot of cards that's sent to bind zone, right, your drop zone may not have enough defense later on, so bring these 2 copies helps you to save a lot of save your critical resources in during your game. And finally, 2 copies of Rafana. Rafana effect is that when this unit enter the Guardian Circle, right, you may choose 1 grade 1 and above rear guard, put it back to your deck, shuffle. Then choose 1 grade 0 card from the deck and call it to a rear guard circle and shuffle your deck. If you do, right, for that battle, this unit gain 10k more shield. Yeah. What is good because you just need sometimes you just need 25k shields for attack. Then you can also set up for your next game, next turn, using your, most likely your grade 0 will be those cats, or Yuwata for your melon combo. Based on my experience, I'll play cat because I'm gonna use Bind Dragon to kick your opponent rear guard and gain power to one of my rear guards for another 10k more power. Yeah. So with that, I conclude the updated version of my Chronofang Tiger deck. Yep. Be sure to check out my other old videos if you want to have other deck reference. Yep. And thank you and goodbye.